Hi, welcome to Wholeheartedly for the Lord Bible Journaling with Sherry. Today's process video will be in my Encouraged Bible. I am looking at Hagar in Genesis chapter 16. Please read it when you get an opportunity. And Genesis 21, verses 8 through 21. You can read that at your own time. I'm sure you're familiar with her story. And I'll be working in this Encouraged Bible, and I'll be using the notes from my planner that I use to take notes for women in the Bible. It's strictly for women of the Bible, and I'm looking forward to filling this whole planner up with all of these beautiful ladies that I can lean and glean from. Thank you for watching, and remember, if I can Bible journal, so can you. Take care. Before I proceed with Hagar, I wanted to show you some of the elements that I will be using. I'll be using some elements from here, and this is from Grace and Stardust, another Etsy shop that I found. Love the elements in there. I'll also be using you can see the woman right here. I'll be using her, and she's from Beautiful Good News, and that little, yeah, it keeps falling. The word Hagar. So some of those elements, they come from the Beautiful Good News, and then that journaling card is from Praise and Pray. I typed it on my typewriter, my little notes, and again, those elements are from the Beautiful Good News. She has a whole section of women of the Bible, and I thought it would be good to use that as well. So I'm going to use my Encouraged Bible, and I'm going to journal here in Genesis chapter 16, and then I'm going to go over into Genesis 21, where we see Hagar again in another struggle, and I'm going to journal that page as well. I am pretty sure most of us have heard of Hagar, but just to give a little background information, Hagar is an Egyptian slave of Sarah and Abraham. Mostly she really belongs to Sarah and works for Sarah, so to speak, and not Abraham, but she's an Egyptian slave, and in that culture, as slaves, they had no rights. They had to obey their mistress or masters, and they were from a different land. She's Egyptian, so she's from Egypt, so she's in a foreign land with not her people. She doesn't have her family. I don't know what kind of God she worshiped, so her type of religion is not there. So she's just solely in a place of aloneness and dependent on her masters. And they aren't always well treated and things like that. But in this case, Sarah, as we know, didn't have any children, and she went ahead and tried to help God out by letting Abraham come in unto Hagar, and Hagar conceives, and she has Ishmael, which causes a problem. And now Sarah is jealous because Sarah doesn't have any children, and now she sees how Ishmael is making Abraham happy, and then Hagar seems to be gloating over all of this, and she doesn't like it, and she begins to really, really mistreat Hagar. And Hagar flees to the wilderness. She can't take it anymore, and her name actually means flight, which makes a lot of sense. Another thing that stuck out to me in my reading and studying is that she is the first person mentioned in the Bible whom the angel of the Lord shows himself to. And in the Old Testament, the angel of the Lord is God himself, he appearing in some form. So God himself comes to the wilderness and sees about Hagar. It's not known whether Hagar was a believer or not, but he saw her and he responded to her. He responded to her oppression, her mistreatment, her fears. He came and he sat down and he comforted her. And he made her a promise, and that really stuck out to me, that here's this woman with no rights, basically no more identity. She's unseen and unheard, but the one who sees all hears her and sees her. And that's the most important thing. That's the most important lesson that we and I have learned, is that it doesn't matter how many people leave me out, how many people disregard me, how many people won't have anything to do with me, whether it's family or friends or anyone. God sees, he cares, and he knows. And he came to see about her. Of all the people in the Bible, she, an Egyptian slave, the first person God shows himself to. How awesome is that? And he comforts her, and he tells her to go back and submit to Sarah. Go ahead, go back. And she moves in obedience. Just like that, no question. She moves in obedience. I thought that was just extraordinary faith from someone who was in such a destitute place. She goes back to her oppressor on the word of the Lord because God was with her and she was sure of it. And he made her a promise that he was going to bless her son and he was going to make many, many generations of people from her son. Then the years pass, another incident occurs between Ishmael and the son. No one knows really what happens, but maybe he's teasing him, being a big brother. Whatever it was, it made Sarah so angry that Sarah wanted her out. Get rid of her, expel her from here. I don't want to see her. I don't want to have anything to do with her. Abraham says, that's not my slave, that's your slave. You do with her what you want to do. Whatever it is, it's in your hands to do it. She sends her away. It kind of hurts Abraham because that is his son. He really didn't say anything about Hagar, but he cared about his son, gave her like a bottle of water, and she's off. And that didn't last long. And here she is, alone, poor, destitute, no protection, no family, no friends. She doesn't even have her slave masters, and she's out here in the desert, and she's ready to die, and her son is ready to die because they are thirsty. Who shows up? The Lord. I'm telling you, the Lord, if I didn't get anything from this, what I got was that the Lord is with us. He sees every single thing that happens with us, and he's always ready to move if we just trust him. And I'm just so moved by it and how he shows up again to this slave girl, and he reassures her. So not only in the beginning did he comfort her, but then he confirms with her. He reminds her. That's why I wrote the confirmation. He confirms with her what he told her before. I told you, you're going to be okay. I'm going to bless your son. It's going to be a great nation through your son. And that's exactly what happened. And just because others leave us out or forget about us, he never does. He always sees. And that's the lesson that I took from Hagar. And I'm sure as time goes on, maybe something else about Hagar will minister to me that I will glean from. But one of the things is not only does God see and he hears, but just how she responded to him in obedience and faith and was comforted just by his presence and his word. And that's what I need to be comforted by, his presence and his word. And if God is for us, he is more than the whole world against us. Hallelujah, Jesus. I hope you were encouraged and blessed by this. Thank you for watching. Take care.